the way in which you conduct yourself as a member of Congress. It's unacceptable and it's shameful.
Attorney General Eric Holder gave lengthy and sometimes heated testimony to Congress today, including commenting on the IRS targeting of some conservative 501c4 groups. The Attorney General said the targeting was wrong, but looking into whether some of those groups have abused their tax-exempt status is a worthy goal.
This whole notion of these 501c4 groups, I think that some, inquiry into that area is appropriate, but it has to be done in a way that does not depend on the political persuasion of the group.
Kim Barker has been covering these groups for more than a year for ProPublica. Joins us now by Skype. Good to see you, Kim.
Thanks for having me.
So you've been reporting, you did a long-term investigation showing that there were these 501c4 groups, that said they were not involved in political activities, got tax-exempt status because of it, but then your reporting showed that they may have been, if not violating the statute, then certainly skirting right up against the edge of it. Is that part of what was going on? Is that what the IRS seems to have been investigating, or is this something different?
We were looking at ProPublica at something different. We were looking at groups specifically that had spent money to elect or defeat certain candidates, and that they had reported that to the FEC, and that they didn't have to report their donors. They fell into this sort of gray social welfare nonprofit area. And you don't have the Tea Party groups in that. The Tea Party groups did not spend money on the 2012 elections federally whatsoever. In 2010, they just didn't have any level of involvement. Most of them are very small groups, regional groups, and they had been trying to fight to get their status for, in some cases, more than 2 years.
What kind of work were they doing?
Well, it depends on the group, right? But a lot of them, if you look at their financials, they don't have a lot of money. They profess to be trying to raise grassroots awareness about issues that were of importance to them. And you can make that argument that that's exactly what a 501c4 or a social welfare nonprofit does, that they are advocacy organizations that try to raise community awareness and try to raise attention to issues that these groups care about. But if you look at these groups and their 990s and the money they've raised and spent, very small groups. You're not talking about these large conservative organizations or large liberal organizations that have spent money on the campaign and to elect or defeat candidates in 2012.
Quickly, why don't you explain that a bit for us? What is the concern about these 501c4 groups, at least the large ones that you guys have been reporting on?
Well, okay, so a 501c4 it's not a charity. A charity falls under the 501c3 tax code. A 501c4 is a social welfare nonprofit. A social welfare nonprofit is allowed to spend money to elect or defeat a candidate. They're also allowed to do lobbying. But their primary purpose is supposed to be social welfare. So it's supposed to be improving the community's good. So these groups have to make an argument that they're spending the bulk of their resources on improving the public good, not just using it as a way to funnel anonymous money into politics. Our argument has been that some of these groups say they're doing one thing for the public good, but essentially are operating as a way to funnel anonymous money into politics, because it's impossible to tell, how much money there's or where the money is coming from. We can say that more than $300 million that was spent to elect or defeat candidates in 2012 was anonymous. You can't say where it came from. And our whole point has been that raises questions about, if you don't know who's donating money, if you don't know who is giving money to pay to elect or defeat somebody, you have no idea what happens later. Is there quid pro quo? Is there some sort of okay, you scratch my back, I'm gonna scratch yours? We can't even tell at this point. So that's more been what we've been focusing on.
Okay. Kim, thanks a lot. It's complicated stuff, so it's good to get as clear an explanation as we can, so we thank you for that.
Thanks very much for having me on.